And committee, I just want to share with you, if you've looked at the agenda, there are a couple of changes, mostly within the final action this week. But since I have been requested to stay away from Mondays and Fridays, if you'll all bear with me, we should be able to get through these bills on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I urge you to have your amendments ready to go and be prepared when you come to committee. We're going to begin with opening the hearing on House Bill 2069, and we'll begin with the overview of the bill from Jenna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, committee. House Bill 2069 enacts the School Psychologist Compact to provide interstate practice privileges to school psychologists. We're all fairly familiar with compacts at this point, so I'll do a brief overview of each section. Section 1 gives the purpose, which is to facilitate interstate practice of school psychology in educational or school settings and improve the availability of school psychological services to the public. Section 2 gives definitions for terms used throughout the compact, beginning on page 2. And the definition of school psychologist is in subsection X at the bottom of page 3, which is an individual who has met the requirements to obtain a home state license that legally conveys the professional title of school psychologist or its equivalent as determined by rules of the commission. Section 3 sets out the criteria for states to participate in the compact, including enacting a compact statute that's not materially different from the model, participation information sharing, and licensure requirements for an applicant seeking a home state license. Section 4, beginning on page 5, sets out the criteria for licensees to participate in the compact. These include holding an active state license and satisfaction of applicable state-specific requirements established by the member state. Section 5 relates to active military members or their spouses, and they shall be deemed to hold a home state in the licensee's permanent residence, a member state that is the licensee's primary state of practice, or a member state where the licensee has relocated due to a permanent change of station. Section 6 is on page 6 and outlines the ability for a member state to investigate or impose disciplinary measures on licensees according to state practice laws. Section 7 establishes the School Psychologist Interstate Licensure Compact Commission and designates the commission's power as well as authority. That's one of the longer sections. Section 8 requires that the commission provide for the development and maintenance of a coordinated data system for all applicants of multi-state licensure. Section 9 requires that the commission adopt rules and regulations to implement and administer the provisions of the compact. Section 10 is on page 13, sets out the rules for oversight, dispute resolution, and enforcement of the compact. Section 11 states that the effective date of the commission is upon passage in the 7th member state, and procedures for states withdrawal as well as amendment are also provided. Section 12 contains a severability clause, and the commission is also granted authority to deny a state's participation in the compact if a constitutional requirement of the state is a material departure from the compact. In the last section, section 13, provides that nothing in the compact shall prohibit or inhibit the enforcement of any law or regulation in a participating state. And this bill would take effect on publication of the statute book, which is July 1st. And the only amendments to this bill were to correct a couple typos. And so I'll be happy to answer questions.
Committee, are there questions for Jenna? Seeing none, thank you, Jenna. We will begin with our conferee, and the first one is Lieutenant Colonel Keith Marshall. Welcome to committee.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Good to see everyone again. So my testimony is very similar to the last two licensing compact bills that we've heard, the PA compact, Senate Bill 126, and then the dietitian compact, which is House Bill 2068. In 2023, Congress passed the Military Spouse Licensing Relief Act with the intention of providing licensure portability across all 50 states for military spouses. This is a continuation of that effort that is overseen by the National Center for Interstate Compacts. The center currently oversees compacts in 17 specialties. Kansas has passed 9 of those in previous years and is considering 4 others this year, including school psychology. So this is a good bill for military families as they move around the country and for employability of military spouses as well. So with that, Madam Chair, I will stand for questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you. We have one more conferee, and then we'll open it up for questions. William Wilk, welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. William Wilk here today on behalf of the Kansas Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate the opportunity to provide proponent testimony to House Bill 2069 enacting the School Psychologist Compact. My testimony is pretty similar from the previous compact bills. This issue was brought to us by our Military and Veteran Affairs Council. Just helps streamline the licensing process for military spouses as they're moving across state lines. So with that, I'm happy to stand for questions at the appropriate time.
Committee, are there questions of either of the conferees? Senator Clifford? No. Oh, I'm sorry. You're waving off none. All right. Thank you. Seeing none, we'll close this hearing on Senate Bill 2069 and open the hearing on House Bill 2070. And we'll have an overview from Jenna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2070 would enact the Dietitian Compact to provide interstate practice privileges to dietitians. Section 1 gives the purpose, which is to facilitate interstate practice of dietetics with the goal of improving public access to dietetic services. Section 2 provides definitions for terms in the compact. The definition of registered dietitian is in subsection W, and that's a person who has completed applicable education, experience, examination, and recertification. Requirements approved by the CDR, is credentialed by CDR, which is the Commission on Dietetic Registration, as a registered dietitian or a registered dietitian nutritionist who is legally authorized to use the title registered dietitian or registered dietitian nutritionist. Section 3 sets out the criteria for a state's participation in the compact, which include that the state currently license and regulate the practice of dietetics, participate in the Compact Commission's data system, and comply with rules of the Compact Commission. Section 4 provides criteria for the ability to exercise the compact privileges, which are the terms the licensee must fulfill in order to receive practice privileges under the compact. Section 5 gives criteria providing for obtaining a new home license based upon compact privilege, which state the steps a licensee must take if a licensee changes their home state by moving between two member states. Section 6 states that active military members or their spouses shall designate a home state, and that the military member or spouse may retain such home state license during any active duty assignment. Section 7 outlines the ability for a member state to take adverse action on a multi-state license based on investigative information, current significant investigative information, or adverse action of a remote state. Section 8 provides for the establishment and operation of the Dietitian Licensure Compact Commission. Section 9 requires that the commission provide for the development and maintenance of a coordinated data system for all applicants for a multi-state license in member states. Section 10 requires that the commission adopt rules and regulations to implement and administer the provisions of the compact. Section 11 begins on page 18, and it sets out the rules for oversight, dispute resolution, and enforcement of the compact. Section 12 states that the effective date of the commission is upon passage in the 7th member state, and I checked as of January of this year, 4 states have passed the Dietitian Compact, and procedures for a state's withdrawal and amendment are also provided. Section 13 contains that severability clause, as well as construction, which gives courts instructions to a court interpreting the compact if a provision would be held unconstitutional. And Section 14 provides that nothing in the compact shall prevent or inhibit the enforcement of any other law or regulation in a participating state. And this bill would take effect on July 1st, and it passed the House on a vote of 119-0 with no committee amendments.
Committee questions for Jenna? Seeing none? And Senator Clifford did not move his hand, so he just moved his head with a no. All right, we will start with then our first conferee, which will be Lieutenant Colonel Keith Marshall.
Morning again, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Lieutenant Colonel Marshall with the Adjutant General's Department. I'll just reiterate my previous testimony and stand for questions at the appropriate time. Thank you.
William Wilk.
Morning again, Madam Chair, members of the committee, William Wilk, on behalf of the Kansas Chamber. I think it's safe to say the Kansas Legislature will be experts in occupational licensing compacts after this year. Pretty much the same thing as my previous testimony. This compact's just specific to dietitians. I'm just happy to stand for questions at the appropriate time. Thank you.
And this is the appropriate time. Committee, I would draw your attention to, we do have proponent written-only testimony, and there is one opponent written-only testimony. Any questions for the conferees? Yes,
Thank you,
Senator
Madam Chair.
Clifford.
I am waving this time. For William, our opponent cites the lack of confirmation of work eligibility. Any concerns about that? I was surprised to see that.
Could you repeat the question?
So we have one written-only opponent who cites a loophole in the compact which would allow someone to work who may not be eligible to work in the U.S. Any comments on that or any thoughts on that in these compacts?
To my understanding, to get an occupational license, you have to go through, so to even opt into the compact, you have to have that license from a home state. In order to get that license from that home state, you have to go through the rules and regulations process to apply for that license. And to apply for a license, I believe you have to be either have a work visa or be a U.S. citizen. So I don't know how that argument would be towards affecting the compacts.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I read the opponent testimony as well, and it appeared to me they were saying there is a concern that that could happen. But what you're saying is each of the states require the licensing and that you have to be a U.S. citizen or have a work visa. Thank you. Committee, other questions of the conferees? Seeing none, thank you. And this closes the hearing on House Bill 2070. And committee, my intention is to work the compact bills for final action tomorrow. So if you want to take a look at those to see if you have any concerns before committee. We will be taking final action on Bill 2027 today, and that'll make sense later. We are going to take final action on 2039 and 2068 next week. So if you would give us a bill brief on 2027, please, Jenna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2027 is that technical cleanup of the statute KSA 39709, which relates to the public assistance programs in the state.
Any questions from Jenna regarding that bill? Seeing none, do I hear a motion? Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we pass out House Bill 2027, favorable for passage.
I see a second from Senator Thompson. Any discussion? Senator Petty?
My only discussion is about, I'm looking at what we were going to take final action on today. 2027 was not one of those bills listed.
It was not. And part of the reason
2027 is listed for tomorrow.
it is, I'm sorry, we had to make some adjustments this morning in the planning committee. And it's having to do with the fact that we sent 8 bills over to the House. They sent us 17. So we're going to be needing to do some consolidation. So 2027, there's nothing it would be consolidated with. So it was an easy standalone bill that we could take final action on today.
I can understand that, but procedurally, it helps if we on the committee have advance notice about bills that we're going to be working.
And I get it, and that's nice.
Not nice, it's
Not
the right thing to
required.
do.
It's not required of the chairs to state what they will be taking final action on, nor if they're even taking final action. I always try to give you advance notice. Hindsight being 2020, I probably shouldn't have put that in there because some changes had to be made.
Well, I'm just raising my disappointment because I appreciate the way you run a committee, but I do think it's only fair to the public and to the members of this committee to know what we're going to be working. It's hard to plan for if you want to ask for amendments and such if you don't know what we're going to be working in the committee.
Did you have an amendment on this, would you have had an amendment on 2027?
I'm not sure at this moment.
Okay, remember this was just the cleanup bill. If ever I was going to pick one that we didn't have any advance notice on, this would have been the one. Okay, committee, any other questions or a discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All in favor of passing out 2027 favorably for passage, please say aye. Opposed, no? Okay, it is passed. I'm sorry. And committee, that's all the work that we had for today, and the committee is adjourned.